All right, so we about our series. Talk about our series a little bit.
Yeah. You gotta talk about how you lined up the arms too. Come on, man! Don't forget about me. I was.
You started off. Talk about how you lined up the arms.
I just want to talk about how I line them up.
There's a lot to this one.
Martinez Villalobos, the first one.
Man, there's so much that goes into lining up these guys and making sure that everybody gets their work consistently throughout the week. It's really the hard thing, and it's staying up and making sure the starters are matched up. They got their rest. They're on a rotation, and the relievers are all getting their consistent work that they're getting in at the right times. And the way we matched up these starters on those days, I mean, it was perfect. We had some really good battles. The first game was the Latino battle right there. We had Martinez versus Villalobos. It ended up being what we expected. Now, with that one, since we used some bullpen arms the past couple of days, some of the dudes, some big dudes, some late inning guys, the bullpens were, you can't say they were lighter, but they didn't have the flamethrowers and the put-away guys in there so much. And so we had guys that were bridge guys that you really had to mix and match, but we did have the starters that were able to go deep. They kind of showed some really cool things. Game 2 was lined up with Han and Marty. Two different guys to really fit the mix to pitch against both teams. Right. I thought Han lined up perfect against those guys because he could shift the gears and really go back and forth. I mean, he's 68, 78 to 88, and he really showed that. And then we had Marty. If Marty's locked in and he's throwing that slider over, he's hard to hit with that lefty-heavy lineup.
All the lefties,
and then the bullpen was locked and loaded. There's some dudes coming out of there throwing flames. And then Game 3. Then Game 3, we had Tripp versus Rom. So we had it set up perfect, and with some good matchups, some guys left over in the bullpen ready to come down.
It's almost like
down.
We won and lost a game on purpose to get to Sunday. How big time the matchup was. You know?
It seemed like, man, I was like, is this going to go to a rubber match? And the way the games worked out, they ended up being a little bit lopsided on either side, like each game. That doesn't tell the story of how. But I thought the way we lined up the arms, it worked out perfect. And you guys had some weapons to use on each game and each series, but the starters kind of dictated that. And I thought it played out really well. Tell me about the first one, that Latin game.
Yeah, it was fun.
I loved it, man. It was fun.
Villalobos came in for our team and just absolutely shoved. No fear with him whatsoever.
Well, he wanted it. So the thing with those two guys, and I picked the other ones. I picked the other matchups a little bit, but I went up to Villalobos and Edgar, and I asked him, I went to Villalobos. I was like, you guys are going against each other. Who do you want? I want to pitch against Freedom. He goes, I want to pitch against those guys. He wanted to test himself a little bit, and I like the matchup too because he kind of wants to see where he's at. He's feeling really healthy. Last year, he came in with some bumps and bruises and stuff, nothing serious or anything, but he's healthy and he's got a good fastball back, and he wanted to test it against some premium dudes. And then Edgar, he's like, oh yeah, because he wanted to be able to. He had a good matchup with Harry. He had some plans. Harry got him, but we had some good matchups, and I wanted to see if he can get that over. And he's still getting in shape. His fastball is not clicking perfect yet to be able to create a lot of separation, but he can still pitch, and he still mix and match, and had some good ABs right there. But go ahead.
Yeah, it was obviously fun to watch. And first time, I think we both felt in the series that we had a lot of weapons, and we got to plan them out. Friday, Saturday, Sunday versus. Okay, this is what you have Friday, but you might have somebody completely different Saturday. So we're actually able to dictate, okay, how do we use this guy here, here, and here throughout the 3 days and able to line them up to give ourselves the best chance to win a series. Yep. So it was a lot of fun in that aspect. And then obviously Martinez and Villalobos going at it. Two different type of arms, but it matched up perfect. The changeup against our guys, I felt like that's why he was in there. They would just be able to pull and push a lot, and then Villalobos being aggressive with that fastball, be able to throw the breaking ball right on top of that, a little bit more firm than Martinez. So it was a good battle all the way around.
Matchups were perfect for both teams, and then really the difference in the matchup was the Rodney Tenney bunt right back to the pitcher. Martinez got a little overconfident with it, made a very soft, bad throw to first.
Stood up, more fundamental, bad fundamental, and rushed it.
Opened up 4 runs in that inning, and then the Y'alls did not look back from that. They kept putting it on us and really kind of backing us into a corner. Like our offense couldn't keep up because Villalobos had us stifled, and then obviously we talked about Pearson.
Kenny Pearson came
in and absolutely slammed the door 4 times.
Because the plan was for him to go 2, maybe 3.
And then Cheek probably.
And
whatever,
then it was just efficient, clean. And it was.
They just kept going, man. Kept adding runs, and I think what was the final? 10-1. It was 10-1. The only run we scored was a Cam Day Suggs pinch hit RBI single, and then we had a bad base running blunder that got us out of it. And we should have scored a second one there, maybe even a couple more. Might have opened the door for us to get back in that game, but we made the base running mistake. You guys capitalized on it, and Kenny Pearson, like I said, 4 innings, 4 doors shut.
And again, at the end of the day, it goes down to take care of the baseball. You'll take care of the baseball. It's probably a completely different ball game. As well.
We'll move into Game 2 and talk a little bit about the Tenney shift we created. So in that Game 1, there was a situation where Tenney came up, who, for all purposes, I'll talk about. He is the superhero of the Y'alls.
Yes.
So my job is to find a kryptonite for him. If we want to talk about analogies, that's what it is. It's not that I'm going to demean him or anything like that, but I want something to, because I can't stop the guy.
You're not
going to stop the guy. He is dynamic. He's got so many weapons, but if I can take some of his weapons away, it gives us a chance to contain him. So, and I came up with the idea. We had, in Game 1, you guys had bases loaded. He was up. And instead of playing for the double play with our middle infield, I just brought everybody in.
Yeah.
And if he hits something on the ground, we can make the throw to the plate. You know what I mean?
Take care of it.
So after that happened, and it worked out for us, I can't remember what happened in that situation because immediately I was like, oh, this is an idea. Thought it up and basically brought in a 5th infielder. And then we talked about the next day before BP, and it was great because you guys couldn't hit because it was raining. So you guys couldn't hit on the field. It stopped raining for our BP time, so we got down there where we had the field to ourselves. Brought out all of our infielders right then and said, this is how we're going to play Rodney Tenney every time he comes up. I said, I don't care if he splits the gap and hits an inside the park home run. Great for him.
Right.
I said, but we're going to take this weapon away from him, the bunt single. We're going to take it away from him. So he's going to have to beat us with his bat.
Right.
And it worked out great. The way we set it up, we brought the left fielder in to play like the deep 5 hole for that little soft line drive or the chopper over the third baseman. Third baseman already in for the bunt.
In both scenarios, you got
Second baseman, he is the key guy for the bunt on the first base side. So the pitcher and first baseman don't have to really worry about it unless it's right to them. And man,
it worked out. It worked beautiful. I mean,
0 for 5.
I think he had 1 chopper.
Didn't get on base 1 time in Game 2.
We had 2.75 putouts.
2.73 putouts in 2 days.
Yeah, 2.73 putouts.
But I'm talking about that first day.
Oh,
when we hit that first inning. I don't know if we scored or not in the first inning. I can't remember. But all I could wait for was the bottom of the first because you got home team. So we're playing catch, and as he's walking up to the plate, seeing. I mean, I couldn't imagine it as a hitter seeing everybody right in your face.
Right.
And it's got to do like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hit it here, and it did, man. He tried to bunt the first one. You know what I mean? And it ended up being an 0 for 5 day, not 1 time on base, and we absolutely not only contained him, but we shut him down.
Y'all shut him down. Y'all beat us,
and it led us to 7-3 win.
We didn't have a chance. Whenever he's on base, it opens up so many different variables, and the pitchers. I don't think that everybody understands what it really does for the rest of our lineup as far as 2, 3, 4. How many good pitches they actually get to see, or they throw 4 straight balls because they're so worried about him on base. The next thing you know, we got 2, 3 runners on. So you keeping him off the bases
does a great thing for us because him being on base isn't the killer for us. It's what he creates after that.
Right.
So Harry D obviously destroyed his first game, 6 RBIs,
right.
Huge day. I think it was a triple away from the cycle.
Yep.
And Harry continued to have a great day the second day, but he had nothing in front of him with Rodney not creating anything for him.
Right.
Because of what we did to him.
Exactly.
It was beautiful. And I think yesterday, I think Tenney saw 5 total pitches in 4 bats.
It was
first pitch out. He actually swung first pitch, got on a little dumb single, and ended up scoring. Got on base, ended up scoring. Because you're not gonna, like I said, you're not gonna be able to keep him off base forever.
Right.
But we changed his whole approach, and not because I want Rodney Tenney to fail, because I want him to do well. I want to see that guy in the big leagues, but I want him to understand he's got to be able to beat things like that. Because there's
going to be
I'm a pretty
people
smart
out there.
cat, but there's smarter guys out there than me, and the analytic guys that as soon as they see what he can do, they're going to do the same type of thing to him. So he's got to learn how to beat it, and I fully expect him to figure something out to way to beat it, but I'm going to have something else for him.
I know you are. I already told him.
Well, how dynamic your your players are the guys you had bringing in the fifth outfitter. We're infielders who played in the middle.
That was the plan. Massey's going to start out left because he's able to do it.
Yep.
And Trejo in left the next day.
Both got a ball.
7-3 put out. I know Barry Bonds talked about always wanting to have a 7-3 put out in his career. Well, I had 2 in 2 days. Maybe.
I thought for sure he was hit a go ahead inside the park granny that was last at bat.
Yeah.
I was feeling it.
Because our plan, we stuck to our plan regardless if there was runners on base or not. I was willing to take the blow.
I thought it was going to.
It's like a boxing match, baby.
I know.
I'll take the jab. I'll take the blow, but at the end of the day, baby, you're tapping out.
That's what we were wondering about up top. You're waiting on the Tenny shift with runners on base.
Right.
See what was going to happen.
And he hit the single up the middle, but it didn't kill us. It didn't break our back.
It wasn't a homer.
It was maybe a broken rib. That's it. And we came back with a hammer, baby, and Joe Doherty.
That was the first time I seen him. I mean, obviously I'm not in his head, but from a distance, mentally he looked like he wasn't all the way locked into his at-bats.
Hopefully he's watching, because I'm going to give him something else. I don't know if he knows this or not, but his last at-bat in Game 2, to really drive in the mental side of it for him, he was on deck, but he was almost behind the plate trying to get a read on, it might have been Joe throwing, closing the game. And so I said, watch this, Dave. My assistant Dave at the time. Hey, Bryce, talking to the home plate umpire. Hey, Bryce, can we get him out of there? I don't want him to get hurt. Because he's not supposed to be over there anyway. So then it kind of gets and says, you just worried about calling strikes. So now Tenny's not worried about his bat anymore. Now he's worried about the umpire telling him this or me telling him. So now it's like, boom, we had him again. So he's got to understand that once he figures out this Tenny shift, I'm going to have something else.
I know.
So
I know.
He's
a smart kid,
He's got to get better.
He's a smart kid. He's going to get it figured out.
He loves it.
He loves it.
Those games are good for him. So
the
art of war.
Absolutely.
So that was Game 2. Shut him down. Pulled that out to bring it to the rubber match.
I want to know about the Cedio shift. Like, what was the thought process behind that?
Same thing what you did. Get him out of his approach. He tried to bunt
the first time.
He tried to bunt, then we're just going to keep doing it until...
He told me in the dugout, he's like, man, I don't know why I bunted there. I said, I do, because I would have bunted and got a hit.
Right.
But you're there to hit homers.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just trying to get him out of his approach, just give him a little different viewpoint, just mix it up a little bit.
If he is going to lay down something, he's going to get a single, not hit like a
It's not going to hurt.
Exactly.
It's not going to hurt.
That's what he needs to understand. Like, and that's where people, I think, see, too, when they talk about the big league thing, all these shifts, they should just hit the ball the other way, or they should just bunt. Maybe these guys are paid to
There's a lot of
hit
go into it.
Extra base hits, doubles and homers, RBIs, and that's where it's at. And now I get if you're struggling for 2 weeks because of the shift, then lay down a bunt or something like that. But at the end of the day, you do you. You do you. Let them worry about themselves.
Yeah,
so.
they're there for a reason, right?
Game 3.
Game 3 is a sloppy one, huh?
It was. In all honesty, I think the whole series was pretty sloppy from a coaching standpoint. In all honesty.
It was frustrating. Well, game 1 for me was okay. But game 2 and 3 for me.
Game 2 and 3 for you. Game 1
for you.
For me. And then even game 3. You know what I mean? So 2 of the 3 games for each of us. From a coaching standpoint, like from a fan standpoint, you probably didn't see that. I think you see the posts on Facebook, the 8-7, it was such a great game. Like it was. Like for the fans, it was exciting. There was a lot of mistakes made. And then a lot of great things that happened too. So I mean, I think it was a lot to do with being the last day of the week, maybe the hottest day of the year. God, it was brutal out there, hot. It's like Texas. I try to tell these guys, this is nice compared to Texas, but it was hot. Last day of the week, a huge mental series for both teams because it's bragging rights because we're together every day, baby. It's bragging rights.
Everybody wants it.
So a lot of things going on. You got Rhoades up in the booth. They want him talking good things about him. So there's a lot of things going on, really. And and I'm just sitting there. I lose my assistant for the last game, so I'm like, I got to get through this one and then some things start to fall apart each way, and then bam, we get the lead, and then we can start giving runs back, and it's like they're making mistakes, and I'm trying to help your guys too. Like, hey, don't do this. Like, I want to see a good game. Like, I want to win, but I want you guys to get better, and I want to see a good game. So it was sloppy, and hopefully the players realize that too. Like, at the end of the day, it came down to the last batter of the game of the series. And it was so exciting and frustrating, and every kind of emotion that went through there. So. The Rock'em Sock'em robots, baby. That's what it was. That's what it felt like a little bit. So,
who's gonna make the least amount of mess ups in this whole thing? And I think I got it on that one.
So, but I think a lot of it had to do with a lot of pressure they were putting on themselves.
I'm sure.
In the end of the week, but
I'm sure
it was good. It's gonna be another good one coming up.
Yeah, no,
we got exciting. 2 more series left, right against us.
Yeah.
So 2 best teams in the league battling off this series, and I'm fully confident it's going to be the two best teams battling off in those series too. So
that pitching matchup was set up nice. The way it was balanced out, it was beautiful, and it was a lot of fun to work with too. Being able to have options in different scenarios, get to play out in your head.
Yeah.
It was good.
Well, let's talk about players of the week.
Yes.
All right.
I'm ready for this pitcher. Let's see the pitchers.
You want the pitchers? We'll do the pitchers. We'll go reliever.
I want to go last today because I got something else too on top of it.
So reliever of the week.
Adding to you guys filming. I mean, I'm not paying your hourly wage. So.
Yeah, you didn't tell us, you know.
He didn't tell us.
So, well, reliever of the week. I got to give this one to a guy who threw. I give it to a guy who threw 3 games again, but they were big time pressure situations.
Oh, baby. I know it is.
I got to go with Joe. I mean, the first one was on Wednesday. Was in a zeros, the first ever 0-0 win. Especially
professional baseball. First
so
ever.
Yep.
0-0. Coming in with a runner at first and the sudden death. And came in and shut it down. He pitched on Saturday. It was 7-3. It was still, he didn't have any.
But it wasn't comfortable.
It wasn't comfortable. No,
with that offense.
100%.
So
he came in and got the job done right there. Had a quick inning, 10 pitches, and then he found us after the game and said, "Hey."
But you know what? Perfectly done, because you know how some of those closer type guys, if it's a 6-run lead or a 2-run lead, it's a different guy. And he was the same dude, like this. Boom, boom, boom.
Same dude he was in the 0-0.
Yep.
And then it worked out. It was 8-7. There's nobody behind him. Yesterday on the back-to-back, he came to us after Saturday night and was like, "Hey, I feel good. It's 10 pitches. I'm ready to go. If the situation comes up, if the situation comes up, I'm going to put you back in the bullpen. If Dennis wants to use it,
he was going to
use it." He came up 8-7, so he's out back-to-back days.
On top of that situation, I had 0 backup for an extra inning. If he decided to, if we were tied and he decided to hit, Joe was going to have to throw a second one.
So he was up against the ropes.
He was ready for it. Like, he was good for it.
On a back-to-back day, and he came in, and you saw the same stuff. He's gotten better each time out. He looks like he's getting more confident with each outing. His delivery continues to smooth out. The fastball is explosive. It's got life. It's got ride. He's hitting on the slider. It's short and sharp. It's nasty, and he's developing a changeup. We're getting to the point where we can work counts and actually work on developing pitches because his delivery is consistent.
That one was nasty.
That was the first one I've seen him really start middle and bite late. Pugh didn't like the call. He didn't think he went around, but hey, man, you got to tip your cap because that pitch was nasty. We saw that from up in the booth, and it was like, I know you don't like that call, but hey, good luck, man. He was nasty.
You're going to see it again. Like, it's going to be the same one.
So we got a dub and a save off a back-to-back day with the first one, beautiful, and it was nice. So he's a reliever of the week. My starter of the week, it's got to go to Tripp. I said because he came out, he wanted to pitch on a short rest. We started on Wednesday. He wanted to keep him short. He went 3 and 46, I think. That way he could throw a little touch in between. And we saw 2 different guys. He evolved. He adapted. He didn't necessarily like it. And he's a guy who
changed that character.
He did change it a little bit. He changed it.
It was nice.
And he's a guy we talk about. Same with a guy like Marshall Richard. I want you guys to play with energy, not emotion, and sometimes that emotion trumps it a little bit, and it affects the way that the energy they bring to the game. And so, but if you can focus on the good energy and create good energy and pitch with energy, not emotion, it's going to burn you up. And he's a guy that we saw 2 different guys, and I think he's definitely my starter of the week because he pitched twice, had 2 starts. He wanted to pitch on short rest to get off that rotation 7 days and to be out and show consistently who he is. And I saw the 2 different dudes. It was nice. I like parts of both of them, and I hope he gets to sit back and mix those together and be able to be somebody that's really nasty and it's going to roll these next 3 weeks, next 4 weeks. He's going to get at least 4 more starts, so I'm excited to see him.
Yeah, my hitter of the week, mine's pretty obvious, kind of a no-brainer to me, is Harry Denicola. Got killed it this week, barrel after barrel after barrel. Even his outs were loud. Bases clearing double.
Denicola?
I've been saying Denicola. Denicola?
Harry D. I just say
Harry D.
Harry D.
But he was money all week. You knew every time he's going to come up. He's a little bit of a free swinger. He doesn't really chase a ton. But if you put in the zone, he's not going to be late on that ball. Very rarely. He was Hayden Wheeler guessing a little bit, but other than that, that's really only a bat.
That's the only
that
bad
I saw.
Swing the guy took.
He's smart. He moves in the box. We talked about the Edgar at bat with him. I talked about it before because I was interested to see the matchup. He scooted up in the box to eliminate the depth on the changeup and to take away Edgar's 2-seamer and to be able to get the slider in front, and it paid off.
I tell you, we were hoping bringing Hayden Wheeler in there to only allow 1 more run.
Minimize.
That was we're hoping. We're hoping, and obviously not a huge fan of that matchup because of what he did to Edgar and what he did to Remington. Like, you know what I mean? He was able to neutralize them. And, you know, Hayden Wheeler, he's as crafty as they come. But
Big
he waits
spot.
him out a little bit. But I was so relieved when he swung. Regardless of where the ball went, like I was relieved that Harry D didn't just put a knife in our back right there. 'Cause
Yeah.
He could have.
He could have.
And,
He beat himself up over that,
he had been doing it all weekend, so
Yeah.
it was refreshing right there. And once he did that for us, I think, you know, that made Watley a little more anxious to get it done. And you know, but
Yep.
other than that, Harry D, baby, he took it to us. And I'm not, I didn't see what he did against the Lexington Club.
He had a week.
I know.
I mean, he was kind of our offense. Yeah, he was kind of our offense all week. So that was a no-brainer for me.
Not really a no-brainer for me this week because we had several guys do well in certain aspects, but I mean, you could probably pick Craig Massey any day, any week to be Player of the Week. You could pick Cedio. I mean, any of these guys could be it virtually every week. But this week for me, I think just because of the progressions and what he looked like in the box, maybe the numbers didn't justify a Player of the Week, but what he was doing physically in the box with his at-bats, A.J. Bumpus. I mean,
Yeah.
deadly in the box. I think he had 4 doubles this week.
He killed us.
You know, nothing really off the table other than one game that was 3 for 4. I think that first night, but with no RBIs. Like, you guys contained him, but he was 3 for 4 that night. But, man, the guy's a presence in the box. And I don't know if I've seen a guy hit lefty better than him.
That's nice.
He is
Backside,
dangerous
too.
left-hander.
He's got
Yeah,
pop,
backside pop. So, outfield play has been phenomenal for him for the most part. A couple mistakes out there, but I think he's grown from those, and you're going to continue to see a guy that, you know, hopefully at the end of this thing, he's pushing his way up that red system into the big leagues. So it's he was a good one. That's my guy for this week. And the last thing I want to talk about is just because there's not enough credit given for what we're doing here, but like if this thing ended today, I would be extremely happy with where we're at and what we've created for these guys. With one, the information that's going out that they're able to see at the Y'alls Player Dev Twitter, you know, our theplayerdevelopment.com website, the information that's being put on, the game reports that's being put on there. Like they're able to see, and it happened in our dugout. Somebody asked me like, "Hey, how do you think my bat's been going?" I said, "Do you read the game reports?" She's like, "Yeah." That's what I think. So I don't have to explain it. Like I don't have to have the individual conversations because I'm putting in there what I think.
Right.
Exactly what I think in there, so you can go see what I'm thinking about you as a hitter. It's the truth. It's the truth
of the game.
So, that being said, with this thing, the way it's been going, I mean, I just give a couple of shout-outs. I mean, obviously the front office in Florence here, continuing to be
Allow us to do
the
it.
best in the league, the best in the league. So, whether it's the Frontier League or here, front office is doing a phenomenal job without really an acting GM right now, too, because Josh Anderson took a job with Amazon, so really not an acting GM. So, everything is running smooth, at least from the perception that I have. Running smooth. I mean, Aaron Brody and his team, Disco, those guys, I mean, phenomenal. The broadcast is great. Getting Chad Rhoades up there in the broadcast was nice. You know, having those things available for the guys. The YouTube channel that has all the games. You can go back and watch all the games.
Chopped
up.
I watch them I've watched our last series twice already.
Every day.
Watched it last night, and I watched it again this morning. Like, just trying to pick out everything. So, you know, I mean, all those things, can't say enough about the front office and what they've been doing. From a fan standpoint, we are doing better than Lexington in the league. So, there's 2 cities in the league. We're doing better from a front office standpoint, no doubt. Obviously, from a baseball side, we are too. You know, Rhoades, pitching coordinator, phenomenal job. You got 30 dudes to deal with. You know, I've got 14. You know, you got, and the pitchers, let's be honest, there's a lot more care putting into those guys than the position players. So, phenomenal job there with what you've created with the game report stuff. All the detail, yeah, a little behind, but I mean, there's only 24 hours in the day. We're trying to create more of those. We've got some really smart guys. We got a Yale guy, Simon Whiteman. We got Max Dobello.
Yep.
They can may be able to create something here in this clubhouse that can clone you. They could. So that would help. I like multiplicity.
Chad Rhoades clone.
Mike Morris, who continues to dodge our show. We want him on here. We ask him every time, but he doesn't come. But I mean, he's the hitting coordinator here, and
Way to get him on.
He's doing a pretty good job.
Doing a good job.
The runs we're scoring and the hits we're getting and the approaches with all the different kinds of players.
Just
Like we got the Rodney Tinnies, the Chad Rhoades, the early work, the double plays. Like the guy's amazing.
This has got to be so hard to grab in for both of y'all. Grabbing a guy with very little to no experience from professional baseball, then grabbing a guy with a ton of experience that's been around, and having both of those guys buy in and everybody in between. It's impressive, you know. Everybody gel together. It starts with y'all two.
Kudos to you two guys. I mean, you two guys are really what make this thing work. And if there's an organization out there that needs somebody, I mean, you two guys need to be hired. It's as simple as that. And I'll put my name on both you guys. So phenomenal job there. And the last guy I want to talk about, Key Stewart, our clubby. Think about the job.
Killing it.
First year head clubby in a whole new dynamic. The dude's amazing.
Not a day off because there's always someone here.
There's always something to do.
There's always someone here.
Yeah, there's never.
He deals with everybody.
The two teams here. One of them's here every single day,
And the
other
team
team
in Lexington, all the coaching staff.
He's by himself,
Dude doesn't complain.
going to school.
Stuff's done.
You know, he goes
nice.
for runs. I got him running now too. So
There you go.
you know, it's nice. It really is, and he makes this thing so easy. So
takes
between
a bunch of
Key
pressure off
and
us.
Chad and Mike, I mean, we couldn't do this without them.
Right.
So it's been great. So just wanted to tell you guys that. So
Yeah, that's all.
Appreciate that.
All right, Freedom Nation, thank y'all for joining us today. We'll get to y'all next week.
Y'all's Nation.
Freedom Nation.
Freedom Nation.